You know that urge? The urge to hightail it the hell out of there when you hear this story is going to be the simplest form of battle shonen with the simplest underdog protagonist archetype? Yeah, me neither. I'ma eat that shiz regardless. But it's still mighty worrisome. In fact, I think Asta scared everyone going into Black Clover by not only how simplistic he was, but how readily he accepted his simplicity and showed no sign or interest in changing whatsoever. And he had a hell of a fine voice. That just capped it off, made it even more enticing for all of us. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one that listened to at least 4 hours of Black Clover Asta ASMR puts you right to sleep, basically instantaneously. Now, both Naruto and Deku managed to find ways to single themselves out in their respective narratives, and both ended up as relatively complicated characters, at least to some degree. Naruto's psychology from a young age was, since everyone turned their backs on him, he had to stand out, and he would do anything to stand out. Not only that, but he became completely integral to the narrative, where he was a target of the Akatsuki. He was the foil to Sasuke. He had constant mental breakdowns and debates with his literal inner demon. And speaking about the inner demon, it's not only the Akatsuki that took interest in him, it was Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin. Naruto ended up as a reincarnation of one of the Sage of Six Paths sons. Naruto was fated to not play a simple role in his tale, and obviously he didn't. Deku's even easier to describe. He got one for all, the ultimate quirk which basically gives him the duty to become the pillar of justice and stomp out evil. The number one hero, for obvious reasons, takes interest in him, and so does the number one villain. Deku's the hope for the next generation, and there will be no fated simplicity in his lifetime. One of the aspects that makes Asta a great main character is that there's no looming fate that will cause his life to get complicated, unless he wants to complicate it himself. Asta has the quirk None for All, and as I'd like to say, simplicity is one of the hardest things to master, and that goes for everything in life, and Asta mastered it. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of the flagship of Black Clover, the perfect simplicity of the main character, Asta. Voice not included, but spoilers, the manga does not have voice. Don't you hate the people that keep telling you to read the manga on literally everything and anything? Oh my god, me too. Smash like if you're one of those people that hates when everyone else just tells you to read the manga. But yeah, by the way, you should totally read the Black Clover manga. Just throwing that out there. That said, there will be no manga spoilers in this video. Let's do this. We all know Fuegoleon, and if we don't, well, we should. A badass character in Black Clover, and also my personal self-appointed big brother of anime. And that doesn't mean I want to have sex with him. But you know, if he was offering, he said that, quote, being weak is nothing to be ashamed of. Staying weak is. That right there is probably my favorite quote from the series, alongside Magna's "Shut up, dear God, shut up, so freaking gross, god damn it," and Yami's "What's good, bitches?" Yeah, I take myself very seriously here. Because in the entirety of Black Clover, there is an important theme that often goes unnoticed, being what is weak and what is strong. The grand misconception is, if you're born into a noble household where the nobles have, by and large, the most magical power, that makes you strong. Now, there are many rejects from the very society they inhabit, like that zombie guy from the Capital Invasion arc, who says he has so much freaking mana. It's the amount of mana that makes one strong, not nobility. Now, the main antagonist of the cave arc right in the beginning of the series was tortured and genetically engineered as a kid that had to endure pain and sacrifice to create the war machine he is now. That's what strength is. The people who seem to be the main antagonists of the entire series, that I will not be spoiling because they're manga, but they look down their noses at the weaklings that make up humanity. They're of a higher race. That is what's considered strength. Haha, those fools. On a superficial level, oh, absolutely. Being a noble, being that other manga species, being a human experimenter, being born with a crap ton of mana, yeah, it absolutely helps you on your path towards strength. Let's not kid ourselves. But that being said, it isn't inherently what strength is. Because being superficially weak is nothing to be ashamed of. Staying weak is. This is an important theme to Black Clover and integral to understand for Asta's character, as I will get to. So I apologize in advance if this video gets too complicated trying to explain the beauty of simplicity, because I know inherently that statement did not make any sense. And it sucks, because I know a lot of the themes that I'm briefly touching on here really deserve their own videos, and may or may not get them in the future. So let's cover another beautiful video topic that I'm totally going to be making eventually, the Black Bulls, and how their members are accumulated. If I have to summarize exactly what type of person Yami would be looking for his guild, it would be misfits that society deems weak. But under, say, Fuegoleon's understanding of strength, they are strong. Magna is the first character of the Black Bulls that we get to know, and to get to the point, Magna does not come from noble birth, and does not have vast stores of mana, but he's a prime member of the Black Bulls, because despite these things, he makes it work, and the ecstasy felt from him actually beating nobles in the coming tournament arc was tremendously satisfying. He has such small stores of mana, he throws his little compressed fireballs to the point that he trained himself to get those fireballs to disappear mid-air and reappear later, so it's nearly impossible to defend against. He's no powerhouse by any means, but by no means does he stay weak. Hard to defend against a little compressed fireball that hits you in the tummy. No matter how strong you are, it's not gonna be a massage. On this subject, shout out to Zora in the manga, one of my favorite characters. If you're reading the manga, you know exactly why I'm shouting him out. Not gonna talk about him here, just had to say it. I love him. And of course, I could give many examples from the Black Bulls. Finral, Luck, Gauche, they're all amazing. But I feel like it really wouldn't enhance my point right now. You kinda get it, I think, so I'll be saving a full analysis on the Black Bull Guild for a future day. But the main two characters of that guild that we get to know are Noel, which is French for Christmas for whatever reason, and Asta, who in the manga is called Aster, because the translation sucks. And the reason why I love how these two fit into the theme of the series by being main boy and main girl is because Asta was born with absolutely zero magic, none for odd, but had full control over his physical body. And Noel, who was born from a noble family and had tremendous magical abilities, she had no control over them. Odd for none. Sorry, I think that meme's dead. But in any case, these are two prime candidates for the Black Bulls, both being labeled as weak by society standards, and yes, both surpassing any expectations anyone had of them and do not remain weak in the slightest. In Black Clover, what society deems as weak is what the Black Bulls deem as woke. So as far as being the simple underdog protagonist that Asta is, it fits better into the theme of the narrative than any other underdog character in shounen. And now that the theme of what defines weakness and the counter theme of the Black Bulls is basically at least elucidated at the surface level, this is why I love Asta for his character's pure simplicity. As far as pure physical strength, according to the author, not me, Asta is the second strongest in the verse after Yami, being that mages, especially those of nobility, praise their own magical prowess so highly, their physical training is very lacking, giving Asta the edge there. This is about to be slight spoilers, but the fact that they trap a really powerful enemy mage in a man-dug pitfall trap is the essence of brilliant thematic simplicity. But back on topic, Asta, like most other underdog shonen protagonists, is an inspirationally hard worker. But unlike most shonen protagonists, his skills are utterly reliant on his hard work, and that's plain to see for everyone around him. His anti-magic acts as more of a way to level the playing field to some extent, and act as an element of surprise. Naruto using Rasen Shuriken or decking using One for All does not possess this level of simplicity in their fighting style, because firstly, Rasen Shuriken and One for All do not even things out. It gives them an edge in a fight, and quite a large one at that. And secondly, luck. Luck is an important attribute to cover altogether, so I guess there will be a vid on it eventually also, but it's something that occurs rather frequently and occasionally bothers me. Deku was kinda lucky to get One for All, and if he wouldn't have, then he would be nothing but an idealistic kid with nothing to back up his words. And that said, it's not like anyone else can get to Deku's point, being that they don't have One for All. I'm not saying this as a flaw to MHA, it's just a totally different focal point of how to develop your underdog protagonists. And similarly with Naruto and his Biju, it's not like if 10-10 would have worked hard, she'd be able to use Rasen Shuriken or whatever. Whereas even including Asta's anti-magic, anyone that physically works as hard as Asta would beat him. Anti-magic does not even nullify every magic. Like Licht's, for example, totally wrecked Asta. Anti-magic is just enough of a way to even the playing field to an extent that Asta can win via his hard work. It's a simple correlation, and we don't see it almost anywhere. And think about what that says for sheer relatability of the character. Oh, I relate to Deku because he worked hard despite the odds. Oh, and anime Superman gave him powers. If I work hard, the same thing will happen to me. While I understand that Deku's strengths are in a totally different place than that, Asta's relatable growth throughout the series is next level due to the sheer simplicity of his character. And the playoff to this is so incredible as well in every fight scene. And I will connote as to what I'm referring to via two fights. First, first being Asta against the teleporty guy, who for the sake of simplicity, I'll be calling Zomble. I'm not gonna get into the Yami versus Licht or the key thing, because Yami's getting his own video. I mean, how could he not? Goat Sensei, fam! But anyway, Zomble can create wormholey things, where he can teleport shiz from one to the other, like laser beams, and even worse, cooties. But the point is, Asta's anti-magic cannot do anything against this type of opponent, not to mention the range is far. So, to clarify, Zomble opens portal next to himself, at a far range from Asta, and then opens and closes tons of little portals surrounding Asta from all directions, at high speed, firing these laser attacks at him from all sides, which Asta, using his maximum physical ability to block and dodge, as many as he can, slowly gets more and more battered into tatters. Sucks for Asta. There's nothing he can do about it. Well, that is, power level wise, there should be nothing he can do about it. Instantaneously, Asta drops both his anti-magic swords, jumps through one of the nearby portals, pops out right in front of Zomble, and punches a really satisfying punch, which granted, Zomble successfully blocked with his face. Suck it, Zomble! And Asta won the fight. I love this little fight. I mean, it's not even an important one, but it says so goddamn much for his character. He has to go through the ordeal of being of common birth and without mana, a literal death sentence for any aspiring magic knight. And this fight was won clearly due to the physical training he put himself through, and the quick thinking he forcefully adapted to develop. Every big fight won by a main character in almost any shounen series ever serves the purpose as a benchmark milestone to show the growth of the main character. So if the main character wins through cheap tricks and tactics, that doesn't prove that their power level is any higher than it was before. Black Clover shows a fight where a weaker character wins not just due to strength, and where tactics are forced to be applied, as of course we've seen by Fuegoleon also, big bro of anime! And that's as opposed to a fight where a supposedly weaker main character overpowers his opponent head to head via friendship boosts or whatever the hell. These are two writing styles that are completely freaking different, and I'm not throwing shade at either of them. But every major fight Goku, Luffy, Natsu, or Deku wins winds up to being a mano-a-mano slugfest where the opponent is eventually overpowered by sheer force. And this recent panel from the Dragon Ball Super manga perfectly expresses what I mean. Not that it meant to, of course. Attacks that exploit openings are not true strength. A line clearly written to sound badass but accidentally turned out sounding so damn dumb. Attacks that don't exploit weakness are just stupid. And being that I mentioned the power of friendship a moment ago, I'd like to turn your attention to that. Some of the characters I've formerly mentioned that win their fights single-handedly through strength definitely had friendship help along the way. Not that this friendship gave him physical support in the fight. No, of course not. We all know most friends won't be there in a time of need. Okay, that was too real. But if a friend is helping you win your fight, well, then it doesn't really classify as a strength milestone, does it? And because of this, all of these main fights wind up to being one-on-ones despite alleged teamwork and power of friendship and whatever. Goku versus anyone ever. Luffy versus Lucci, Dofi, Katakuri. Natsu versus Hades, Zero, Jalal. Any of the times he fought Jalal. He fought Jalal like 24 times over this. Anyway, moving on. Deku versus Muscular. A certain someone at the end of the Overhaul arc, and a certain someone at the end of the School Festival arc. Inverse reality has to be bent at least to an extent so this battle can properly take place to be a one-on-one, where it makes sense that it's a one-on-one, and where it somewhat makes sense that the main character wins against his clearly stronger adversary. Black Clover is not so complicated. Of course, if there's a big baddie, and there happens to be a bunch of good guys around, they'll work together. Of course, if, for example, Veto is way more powerful than Asta, Asta won't be able to beat him one-on-one. So for the second fight I would like to talk about, it's the fight against Veto, who I am probably pronouncing wrong because I only read the manga, not watched the anime. So just in regard to our main character, despite the fact that the fight served the major purpose of developing Finral, one of Black Clover's best boys, and I have a feeling that by the end of next week's chapter in the manga, I will probably want to do a video on him. And by Noelle, who really shone here too, even though she's a shonen woman. But as far as Asta alone, this is how to use the power of friendship. No, not by someone drawing Exodia, but because Asta fully trusts his friend's support in this fight. He's the brute force here, which is of course by way smaller magnitudes than his opponents. Finral can open teleporty holes for Asta to pop in and out of, and String Bimbo uses string magic to pull him and Vera's trajectory ever so slightly to better avoid attacks and better launch counterattacks. 100% trust must be exuding from all three of these characters in every moment of this fight, because one slip up by any of them and they will all die. The string needs to move him when he needs to be moved, the teleporty hole needs to be right there at the right time, and Asta needs to be fully focused on attacking, as well as predicting where his allies will put him. So I will not be spoiling how this fight ends, if you're not up to date with the anime, but what's good, bitches, if you know what I mean. But that is how to write a shonen fight! That is power of friendship! Everyone used their own powers, not far out of the range of reality, and everyone fully needed to trust each other to pull it off. It's the power of friendship in the simplest sense of the word, and it was so damn beautiful. So instead of the generically inspirational shounen hero speech that changes someone's life, it was the extreme amount of trust that Asta showed towards Finral, a character that had the lowest of self-esteem issues since no one respected him in the slightest his whole life, and the fact that he himself was able to pull off something truly amazing against such a ridiculously powerful opponent, it made him more comfortable in his own body. It's such a basic and simplistic psychological development for his mental situation, and that is how an underdog shonen protagonist needs to develop and inspire his support cast. Asta's annoyingly cliche at first, yes. He'll support the fallen like any good bra, yes. The screaming is, well, off-putting, to say the least. And yeah, he's a really simple damn character. But I think simplicity really is sometimes the hardest thing to master, and in Asta's case, it's pretty mastered. I hope you enjoyed this rather complicated video on a very simple by definition topic, but fam, that is the perfect simplicity of Asta, and honestly, this really resonates with me to an extent on a personal level too. Sometimes, I'm my own worst enemy, overcomplicating things, and it's really self-destructive. Asta's solution of just focusing on a goal and simply muddling forwards towards that goal is legitimately inspiring. And had I actually possessed this philosophy, at least to an extent, it would have really saved me a lot of heartache in my personal life. You gotta get your priorities straight, don't lose sight of that goal, and don't worry too much about side shiz that really doesn't make too much of a difference. Honestly, this is a good philosophy as far as a work ethic, but it's an even better one regarding relationships, which is where I've personally struggled too much in this regard. So on that relatively sour note, to a supposedly really upbeat video, thanks so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like if you did, and subscribe if you want more. Link in the description to my Twitter, feel free to follow me there. Also link to merch, which will really help support the channel, and link to my Patreon. All patrons are invited to the Discord server, where we have lovely voice chats talking about anime memes and making fun of Alan Weebus. I wanted to especially thank King Beat My Meat, Sage of Snake, Pop-Up, Grumpy Welshman, Lazy Ronin, Girthy Worm Jin, Allison Stricker, JD Fincher, E-Laser, Sash, Ethan Price, Frisky Dingo, Soy Boy Theories, MD, Q, Praise Lord Girugameshu, Billy Thompson, Lord Twigo's Priestess, Salve Says, Gremmin, who really needs to slow down with the memes on the Discord server, man, please, Sergeant Malarkey, Alan Weebus, Divine Reigns, Miku, and DM Philly, but also thanks to the Lord Twigo rank, Anthony Booth, Cream My Pancake, Emir Zekic, Rari, Necro Zindergarten, Cortland Ewing, Zombie Misha, Teakui, and Kyle the Warrior. Also thanks to the God Usopp rank, Tyler Schumacher, Dark Element, Sonny Parks, and Maurice Louis Dreyfus. Thank you all so much for pledging. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate that even though presumably several of you have not fully seen Black Clover, you still took the chance to watch this video. I'm honored that you want to hear my take on it. I really am. I do suggest sticking with the anime or reading the manga. I really do. I really like the Black Clover manga. In fact, it's slowly becoming a weekly favorite to open up and read. Well, after One Piece. Sometimes life is better simple, but life is even better weird. So remember to stay simple, but stay weird, fam.